Welcome back to It All Counts, the podcast. We talk about all things. We encourage each other. We continue to learn and grow together. I have a special guest today, Tracy Webster, a wonderful man, a wonderful husband, a wonderful leader. Has a beautiful wife, Shanetta. They're living a great life. He's a guy that really inspired me in this game. I've learned a great deal from him from the standpoint of humility, togetherness, compassion, how to treat people, how to love, how to learn, how to have a listening ear, and he has one of the best minds and eyes in this game of basketball. Welcome, Tracy.
Man, thanks, man. Glad to be here. Glad to be here for real.
Tracy, why don't you let the audience know a little bit about you, for those that don't know you. I know now Tracy's known all across the country, but for those few that don't know you, let them know a little bit about you.
I'm about to be on here for a long time talking about myself. Well, again, my name is Tracy Webster. I'm actually from Harvey, Illinois, suburb of Chicago, but people talk about it. It's still Chicago in a sense, but it's in the South. I grew up and played at a high school called Thornton High School. After high school, went to University of Wisconsin from 90 to 94. After college, got into coaching a little bit. I coached for like 18 years at various schools. Been married for 25, going on 25 years now, and I'm just a guy who loves life. Someone who cares about people, like Coach says, and someone who tries to do the best they can as far as, helping people build relationships.
Now, Tracy, you were a phenomenal basketball player. We'll get into that. But was basketball always your first love?
No, actually, basketball wasn't. Baseball, and people laugh about it right now, but baseball was really my first love. I had people, back in the day, people were calling me Satchel Paige because I thought I was a really, really good pitcher. And I really was. I really was. Baseball was really it for me until guys start saying, man, you need to really start focusing in on basketball. I mean, basketball we can play all year round, inside, indoors, outdoors. Baseball, it was only, a certain period of time where you can really play because we didn't have indoor facilities. But baseball was my first love. I pitched, played the outfield, and played first base. But, once I got a taste of the basketball world where we were playing night in and night out, basically, I just fell in love with it. And it really helped me. And I tell guys all the time, man, this basketball took me places where I never thought I would ever go.
Well, being from Chi-Town, when did you get your first pair of Jordans?
Oh, man. It's amazing because people probably going to think I had a lot of pair of shoes. And, man, the Jordans, I probably didn't get my first pair of Jordans until probably my junior year in high school, maybe. And that sounds crazy, but for us, they were just too expensive. I was getting I remember wearing we were wearing Converse. I think, Larry Bird had the Converse out. Matter of fact, I was wearing something called Air Raids, where Tim Hardaway had some Air Raids out. They weren't as expensive as the Jordans, but they still looked good. But for me, it took a long time for me to get those Jordans because my parents were not paying for that. Now, I had other people trying to help get me some of those Jordans, but I just felt bad asking them man, can you help sponsor me with a pair of those expensive Jordans at the time? But now I have a ton of them. I think when we were at Cal, I probably have a lot of really good Jordans. And then my college roommate was a Jordan brand. I think Mike Finley really well. He has a lot of them. So I've been fortunate enough to have some Jordans in my closet right now.
And Coach Webster, being one of the top high school players at night, coming out of high school in 90, what made you decide to go to Wisconsin? Because again, one of the best in the country. How did that come about?
First of all, we had some guys from my high school that had went to Wisconsin for football. A guy named Richard Johnson, Melvin Hunter. They played football, but they had went to Thornton. We went to my high school at Thornton, but they were older than I was. So I started paying attention to them when those guys went to school there. And then Louis Eli, who I played with, ended up going to school there. So I was paying closer attention to those guys then. But I had DePaul and Illinois and other schools involved. But what happened was they didn't play with three guards like how teams are playing now. So a guy named Brandon Cole ended up committing to DePaul first. So, right after that, after he commits, DePaul goes off the list. And you say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. Not that you were afraid of a challenge, but it was like guys weren't going and playing with 2-point guards, coming in at the same year. But also, I have to give Wisconsin a lot of credit because for me, Coach Ray McCallum, who recruited me, those guys stuck with me the whole way. Because academically, I was struggling test-wise. And, back then you had to have a certain score to get in. So I was struggling with that. And those guys stuck with me. And normally, if you don't get the test score, normally back then you go into a junior college. But those guys didn't allow me to do that. They took me at Wisconsin regardless. And they said, you know what, you just have to come to a summer program and show that you can do the work. And we will make sure that you get accepted. And, when that happened, I'm telling you, it was a trying time, but it was very humbling, but I also feel very grateful for those guys because they took a chance on me, believing in my abilities on and off the court. And it actually paid off, man. And I'm forever grateful to those guys.
So in a year of sitting out and not being able to play games, how hard was that? And how did you manage to work on your game? And were you able to practice with the team?
I wasn't able to practice with the team. I had to go and do a lot of rec ball, but at our rec in Wisconsin, it was a lot of guys that probably could have played or walked on the team, so the games were competitive. But what I did sometimes I would go and try to play on a team where my team wasn't stacked. So now I had to try to find a way to figure out how to win. It was a lot of losses in there too, but it was fun because I got a chance to really compete, even if the talent level wasn't like it was on the Wisconsin team, as if I was playing. But I enjoyed every moment of it. I played every day. I had a program where I would go to the rec, and it was called the Shell, where I can go and lift because I couldn't really use the facilities either. So I had to do a lot of things on my own, but I had some pieces of some people around me that really encouraged me, man, come on, keep going. You got to get it. Because you would get discouraged at times. You see these guys about to go to practice. You want to go practice. I couldn't watch practice as much, because I had to go to study table. I was really on a different schedule at the time. But I'm telling you, it all hurt at that time, man. But after a while, I realized, and it got easier. And that's why I always tell people everything is difficult before it's easy, especially when you're going through something. But you have to continue to keep pushing through. That's why I laugh at a lot of people, even back at my hometown. Not even laugh, but they think everything was always just given, always given to the student athlete, always given to me. I'm like, you guys have no idea. I mean, sitting out, it may look easy for others, but it was something that you had for a long time, you had something going for a long time, and all of a sudden it's taken away from you. And it's not easy. It's tough. But I had really good people around me, man, that helped encourage me to continue to keep doing, the right thing.
Great story. When you left Wisconsin in '94, you left with 501 assists. You still have the single season record of 179 assists in a season. Impressive numbers because you were a guy that scored at a high level coming out of high school. But 501 assists and 179 assists in a season, and you still hold those records. Tell me about that.
Man, 501. When I look at those numbers, I mean, it's great
Excuse
to have
me,
those
Coach, I don't mean
numbers.
to cut you off, but in 3 seasons. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I trust me, I don't take that for granted. In 3 seasons, it wasn't easy. Plus, we didn't have a conference tournament. You know what I mean? We didn't. It took some time for us to get to. We didn't make the tournament, a postseason tournament. My first year I played. Again, I didn't play that first year, my freshman year, but my third year we went to the NIT and then went to the NCAA tournament. But that was something that I always knew that I could do. I mean, I could score the ball, but at the same time, passing was something that I love doing because I love watching other people get to it and get off. It was easier when you're playing with good players like Michael Finley and Rashard Griffiths and those guys. They made it easier for you, but you know how it is when guys start having scouting reports out on you, and you are the focal point. You have to adjust your game, and when you have other guys around you that can do other things, it's gonna make your assist probably be a little bit more a little easier, and that probably stopped me from scoring a little bit more because those guys were the main focus once they got there.
But before they got there, speaking of Michael Finley and Rashard Griffin, 2 phenomenal players, also from the Chicago area. Before they got there, you were scoring, you were assisting, you were playing great basketball, getting it. You were one of the top guys at Wisconsin in steals also. How was that adjustment? And you're not a selfish player, but how was that adjustment? Knowing you were scoring and playing at such a high level, then you have to take a somewhat of a lesser role from the standpoint of looking for your offense. You probably became the third option offensively. How was that talk between you and the coaches, and how did you deal with all that?
That's a great question. My first year when I played for Coach Yoder, who, again, another guy that I'm very grateful for. He allowed me, to probably do some things that Coach Jackson did not allow me to do. And it was good and bad, however you want to take it. But, it wasn't even Rashard and Mike. I think even if Rashard would have came after my first year, I think it would have probably been the same thing as far as me, like trying to, not even lower, but take less shots than I was taking in the beginning. It was more of Coach Jackson trying to get me to understand what it was going to take to win ball games. I could go in there and shoot 1,000 times, but Tracy, you can shoot all these times. If you don't get these guys the ball, you definitely not. You guys never gonna win. And it was tough at first, and this sounds really crazy, but it was tough probably because the outside noise that was coming in my ear. Because again, I was the type of guy, even in high school, I could have probably shot 1,000 times, but I didn't take advantage of that. I had other guys around me. But you have outside people back home. You have people like that that's trying to get you to maybe go to the NBA or go, play at a different level so they can get something out of, oh man, Coach Jackson, he's doing you wrong. He's doing this, he's doing that. Man, you got to shoot the ball. Well, I understand what they're saying. Don't get me wrong, because I want to score too. But when you start seeing, and it's just like anything else, when you start seeing improvement, you start seeing your team win. And again, I said your team win, and everyone gets credit for it. And then all of a sudden, in the end, you go to the NCAA tournament, you like, man, you know what? People don't think, oh, you didn't really benefit from it. I benefited from all of that. And I'm telling you, I feel really, really good about it. It's funny, I'll go back and I'll talk to some people from the past and they'll say, man, you scored a lot of points your first year. So yeah, I really did. But we didn't win. And at the time, I probably didn't understand it as much, but as the years went on, I was like, man, this is probably the best thing that ever could happen, because you still was a big part, like a huge part of that team's success. You got a chance to win. You got a chance to still, play at a high level, play against some really good guys like yourself, Glenn Robinson, Jalen Rose, all those guys. I mean, you got a chance to still be able to compete and say you were productive doing that. But man, it's all about team with me. And I know a lot of people can stress that and say that, but for me, it's all about team. And sometimes, and I can say this honestly, sometimes that can get in the way, because I think sometimes I am too unselfish.
I think that's a great quality you have. Now, I have a funny story for our audience. We played, again, for those that know, I played at Purdue, and Tracy, of course, played at Wisconsin. And we were playing against each other, and we both were captains. And the officials called us up at halftime, at half court to, to go over the rules, make sure you check the balls, do all these things. And when they finished talking, and officials, they would always say, anybody have anything to say? And this is, again, a true story. And Tracy said, yeah, I have something to say. And he looked at me, and he pointed to my head, and he said, Baldhead. I said, this guy's a character, and I could not stop laughing. We laughed. I know the officials, they were caught off guard like that. What did he just say? He just pointed at my head and said, Baldhead, because I've been shaved for probably 30 years now, but he couldn't stop laughing. But it was a good time.
Hey, I was just telling Shanetta that the other day, and I'm gonna be honest, after I said it to her, just like you said, how those officials probably was tripping, she was looking at me like, now, why would you say that? I mean, like for real. Now what? Like, what made you? Did they ask you a question about it? So I'm like, and as I thought about it, I'm like, man, why did I say
Coach,
that?
did we get the win? Who got the win?
We got the win. I have receipts on that one. I think I got receipts on that one. And we played at home. But you guys ended up beating us one time at home. But yeah, I think we got the win on that one. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check.
Coach, people see all the success that Wisconsin has today in the last 20 plus years. They had great success. But when you were there as a senior, you guys made the NCAA tournament for the first time in over 40 years. Describe that feeling.
Man, I tell you, don't ask Coach Jackson, because I tell you, he probably still mad at us. We were at his house. Well, he probably wasn't mad that day, but we were at his house eating, watching the selection Sunday. Wasn't sure if we were going to get in or not. We had pizza. It had to be, I know it was something red, maybe some spaghetti or whatever it was. We heard our name called, and I'm telling you, it seemed like everybody's food went up in the air. Coach Jackson had this, Coach got to be smooth with it. He got his little koozie shirts and his matching clothes. His couch was white. Man, it was so much red stuff on his carpet, on his couch. He didn't care probably at that time, but that next day he probably woke up like, man, what in the world? He probably had to throw the couch away. But anyway, that's how much excitement we had. It was a lot of joy, a lot of excitement, probably a lot of relief, because, to not go to the tournament for 40 years or whatever, man, and then eventually get there, man, it was a great feeling. And then to go and think we were the 9 seed and Cincinnati was the 8th seed. We go and play those guys, and people counted us out even before that game. We ended up beating them before losing to Missouri, which Melvin Booker, he sent me something the other day talking about, because I guess it was something like flashback 94. We played them in the second round. He had a career high or whatever. He scored the ball at a high clip. I will say I probably would say I wasn't guarding him, and I have footage on that too, but it was a team thing. He did a great job playing against them, but we ended up losing to them. But anyway, to get that far, to have your fans experience it, I'm gonna be honest with you, even to have my mom experience it, who she's not even a basketball person. Her and my godmom, Shirley, came out to experience that tournament. I just sent Mike Finley mom a picture of us being in Ogden, Utah. Now, I don't think Ogden was probably easy place to get to, but to go there and play was very beautiful. Man, even looking back on those pictures that I sent, Coach Zoe, the hotels that we stayed in, I wish I had that picture with me. The hotels that we stayed in back then, these guys, I don't know if they could make it because it was the outdoor. It was like a motel that we stayed in. And now it's everything. They had a Marriott property, Renaissance, the Ritz. That's what they stayed in. Back then, man, it was, hey, we thought we were living really good when we were flying commercial. Now these guys, they have it made. They have it made, but I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. We got a chance to really bond with our guys when we had to, sit in those airports and do all those things. But that excitement we had back in '94, man, I'm telling you, it was a great feeling. And Wisconsin has done a great job ever since taking care of their business. But Stu Jackson came in, and I'm telling you, he changed the culture. And again, not to take anything away from Coach Yoder, but Stu came in and he laid it down. And he was a tough coach. And I mentioned to you before, it started with me, to where he let me have it every day when he first got in. Let me have it. So, it helped me grow.
That's great stuff, Coach. Now, Coach, I'm combining two things here. You getting your degree from Wisconsin, but also being inducted to the Wisconsin Hall of Fame. Were you just excited, or were your parents more excited, your family members?
I think getting the degree, I think it was equal. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I was really excited, and sometimes I can probably downplay stuff like that. But I was really excited, and I know my family was excited as well. I mean, they pushed me. I'm gonna be honest, they pushed me, because it was times I called home like, man, like I said, that first year sitting out, I'm like, man, did I make the wrong decision? I remember being in that summer program, and I'm telling you, I studied for this test that we had coming up, and I'm talking about I was ready. I mean, I was ready for it. Why? I get that essay back, and it's all these red marks on the paper. Like, I'm like, hold on, time out. What is going on here? Like, I'm thinking, man, did I make a mistake here? But it was my first ever college test. I mean, I wasn't completely used to that coming out of high school. Not saying our high school was bad, but it was just different. And again, for me, I've never been in a class with a lot of people that didn't look like me. And that curve was messed up a little bit. They messed that curve up, but I'm telling you, I eventually got it, and when I got it, it was great. But my family, they really, really pushed me. I was, man, to be able to finish at Wisconsin, great university, Even after what I went through, it was great. And one story, it's a young lady, and she probably don't even know how much she made me. She encouraged me, and she encouraged me from the wrong side. We're playing spades one day during the summer when I first got there, and we're having a good time playing spades. And all of a sudden, I remember this young lady name was Beverly. I can't remember her last name, but we're playing spades and we spanking them. You know, you talking smack during spades and all of that. So she's losing, talking smack. She just freaks out. Oh man, oh, you talking all that smack? Oh, you know what? Okay, keep talking that smack. That's why you have to sit out this year. You're not gonna play. I was like, man, that got personal. You know, it's like, wow. Now, don't get me wrong. She hit me in the gut. She really did. She hit me in the gut. And I'm like, man, where did that come from? That must have been on your mind for a long time or something. You had a conversation with somebody. But anyway, that really inspired me. I'm going to be honest with you. Every time, I'm talking about every time. It wasn't perfect, but every time I went to class, if I saw her, I was motivated. Man, let me make sure I get this work done. Let me make sure I get this work done. Fast forward. I've had a pretty successful career after college. I see her. It might have been in Vegas. I see her in Vegas. Tracy, how you doing? I'm so proud of you. Oh, whoa, you, huh? You know what I mean? I said, thank you. I said, and also I want to thank you for encouraging me to finish in school. And I told her the incident. She's like, oh, you know, acted as if she didn't understand what I was talking about. But anyway, that was one of the factors, and that got me going. But also to your next question with the Hall of Fame deal. Now, that was, at first, I didn't think, you know, being inducted to the Hall of Fame was, oh, okay, I got inducted. I remember Howard Moore calling me saying, Tracy, they're going to induct you. Barry Alvarez called me. I got a little bit more excited when he said it was going to happen. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, Hall of Fame. That's cool. I didn't get overly excited until I got there, though. Like, when I got there, just seeing everybody, you know, the people everyone else that was going to be getting inducted, and just seeing the fans and seeing, you know, the people that was going to be in attendance, the media coverage and all that, that was great. But to see the smiles on my family faces, the people who came to support me, man, it was really, in all honesty, it was about me, but it was about them. To see my wife just really be like, dang, because again, people don't even know this. Shanetta didn't know me when I played basketball, you know? And like I told her, babe, this is really more than basketball. This is not just about basketball. I think this is about life, because again, I could have been the best basketball player in America, but if I didn't treat people right, if I didn't act right, if I didn't probably, you know, continue to improve outside of the basketball, none of this would have happened. But they kept me on the straight and narrow. I'm going to be honest. They did. But then also, though, and you might not, you know, I know sometimes you downplay compliments, but like even for yourself, to see how you and Roberta, I mean, I remember working at Ball State and getting a call, hey, you ready to work at Purdue? That type of stuff, those things are life-changing. And that helped not just me, but that helped my wife, Shanetta, understand what this thing was all about for the most part, you know? So to see everyone, I mean, I just started thinking about everyone who helped me get to this point. I'm talking about probably a ton of people, the good and the bad people that so-called helped me get to this point. It just made me feel like, man, thankful, you know, grateful. I mean, like it was unbelievable, man. So to experience that was really great. I just wish one thing could have happened. I wish my mother would have been living when that happened.
Powerful. Coach, we worked together for a long time. We've been knowing each other for a very long time. And I've seen you inspire a lot of young men on and off the court in their development. You would be in the office 5 or 6 in the morning. You'd be there 10, 11 at night. I mean, and that was consistent. How did you handle the work-life balance? You know, obviously Shanetta's a great woman. You guys are a great team. How did you handle that? But you also have a love for your family outside of Shanetta. How did you handle that? But also How did you inspire young men that were struggling from the transition from being home to college?
Well, that first part, I mean, really, I don't want to say it was completely easy as far as like managing time, but that's what it was. It was managing time. But also, before getting into this profession, I I set Shanetta down, and we were living in Milwaukee. I remember we were living in Milwaukee, and I said, "Hey, I was spending a lot of time with DJ Stevens, who was at Marquette at the time, and I saw how they were moving. He was working for Coach Crean, and you know, I would go and be shooting around with Dwayne Stevens, and all of a sudden, his phone rang, and he said, "I'll be right back," and never come back. So he left me in a building where I had to find my own way home. So I went home and I told Shanetta, "Look, this is what can happen." I told her what happened with Dwayne, and I said, "You sure you want me to get into this basketball thing? Because it's gonna be days where you and I are gonna have a date that we already set. It may even be. I mean, I gave it a worse scenario. I said it may be our anniversary, to where, man, we might have a dinner to go. We might have our dinner set for anniversary. All of a sudden, a big time recruit or a recruit period just call and say, look, I want to take a visit on this day. Shanetta, you gotta trust me. You know, it may be, we may have to cancel that visit at the last minute. I gave it a worse scenario. Now, people will say, oh, yeah, you're not going to be married anymore. Well, I want to give her the worst scenario to let her know, like, this is how this thing goes. I mean, I did social work, and sometimes, again, things just happen to where you have to stop what you're doing to try to go help people. But with her being an understanding wife, someone who put my goals with her goals and vice versa, it made it a lot easier. But also, I'm telling you, she even put herself, she even said, Tracy, look, you have to make sure you touch base with your brothers and sisters, your nieces and nephews, probably more than anything. Now, I always did that anyway, but sometimes she was like, look, you have to make sure you're on top of those things. But she never got in the way. Babe, I got to go work Jordan Matthews out at 5:30 in the morning or whatever the case is. But I probably won't be home until 8. I mean, she understood it. And my whole thing, too, was this. Tell the players the same thing. Like, hey, y'all, I'm telling you, I'll be in this gym as long as I can with you guys. But I do love my wife as well. I do love my family. And I think telling them up front and then showing them that you truly care about them, they gonna understand it. My whole thing is this. I always said I wanted to have a good enough relationship with players that if, normally if you're on the phone with these guys and my wife call, I want to be comfortable enough saying, hey guys, can you hold for a second? This is my wife. I have to click go. I want them to know, like, man, this guy really, he's a family guy. I want our relationship to be that close to where they know I'm not just trying to blow them off. Now, normally, I may not even answer the phone, and if I don't, my wife probably understands I'm on the phone or something like that. But I want these guys to know, like, man, we still have a wife. Because sometimes some people will try to take advantage of that too and say, you know what, I don't care. But we had to set the standards as well. And again, bringing our wives around and doing those things, letting them see how we treat them. I think they understood, like, man, Coach, you got to get to Miss Webster. Go ahead. I mean, it was plenty of stories. And Jordan Matthews and other guys can tell you plenty of stories when I say, look, you don't make 3 in a row right away, man, I can't stand this gym because I got to get to my wife. And I used to tell her, like, look, y'all, you taking too long. You taking too long to hit 3 in a row. But anyway, with that, I mean, just making sure that, you hitting, you having a balance, because that's what it's all about, is a balance. And knowing your spouse is probably, that's the number one thing, and letting her know where everything is, where everything stands, and not taking advantage, because Some wise probably want an hour. I'm gonna be honest with you. This sounds really crazy too. Janetta, hey, I need quality time. 30 minutes, 30 minutes quality time. That's for her, it's like 4 hours. You know what I mean? It's like forever. So that was it made things a lot easier. And then your second question, Coach, can you repeat that again?
How do you inspire young guys first time away from home, different environment? How did you help them?
Really trying to make sure they knew they had an uncle. I mean, you know what I mean? You take coach out of the equation, making them know that letting them know they had an uncle away from home. Not catering to them, but letting them know things are gonna be all right. Staying in the gyms, trying to spend time with them. But a lot of times when they first going away from home, you have some that's like excited about being away from home. They think that, okay, it's time to hang out. My parents not around. But it was our job to make sure we spent a lot of quality time with them. We kept them busy. But at the same time, it wasn't just about the basketball part. It was busy about the community service. It was busy about, hey, you got to get to study table. Hey, come meet in the office. Stop by the office. Once a day if we're not having practice or whatever. Just stick your head in. And also, the after hour stuff. Calling them, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I'm gonna come over. We're gonna go grab something to eat. We're gonna hang out for a little bit. I thought those type of things was so important. With those guys with players getting to know you, they felt a lot more comfortable. And then all of a sudden they forgot that they were away from home. And then once basketball season started, all they were worried about was playing time. Trying to win games, trying to, impress others, but also they want to get in that lab. So spending quality time with them as well was very important. I think it helped a lot of those first-time guys that went away from college, went away from home. It helped them get adjusted to college.
Good. My last question, Coach. What kind of advice would you give new and young coaches, whatever level, high school, college, international? What advice would you give them?
I would tell regardless of what level, I would tell all of them to, first of all, learn all you can while you can. You gotta, and in doing that, you gotta listen, and not just listen to, if you're a college coach, don't just go. You don't have to just listen to an NBA guy. You can go listen to a junior high guy or a high school guy if you're a college guy, and because no one has all the answers, and then you have to do your own research. I mean, you have to research, read a lot, and that's one thing. Even with yourself, you used to read so much and probably still do. I think that always helped, and understand who your players are. I mean, understand who your players are, and don't let them completely change you. But sometimes, you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to, you're going to have to pivot, because this thing is not a straight line. It's not a straight line. You're going to have to pivot and adjust a little bit to let them know, like, look, I'm willing to adjust, letting the players know I'm willing to adjust. They have to understand that, the coaches are going to be willing to adjust. And I just think you have to continue to make sure that, you're a sponge for knowledge, because it's always something, especially in today's game. And I've been out this thing for a long time. I would have to go back and try to figure out, okay, what is this NIL all about? What is, the recruiting base? How is recruiting going right now? What about, how do you, the style of play? But you have to, at the end of the day, you have to be true to who you are. And, I think that's all that matters. Be true to who you are, and be willing to adjust, without letting guys think that they are completely telling you what to do. You have to be able to do you and be yourself.
Thank you, Coach Webster. This has been great for me, man. And I call him Coach Tracy Party Webster. In the party part, we only few know what that means. But man, I really appreciate your time. I've always valued, loved, and respected you and Shanetta, two phenomenal people. I learned a lot from you. We came in this thing together. We were in high school together. So you're a valuable human being, a guy that knows a lot of people. You've helped a lot of young men, and a lot of young men is making a lot of money, professional ranks. Not that means everything, but you've helped a lot of people grow. You've done a tremendous job behind the scenes of lifting people up where you don't like to receive credit for. But again, I appreciate you, man. So, Coach Webster, if somebody want to follow you, how do they find you?
They can go on my Twitter page at Twebster11, and just tweet away. Follow me. I do have Instagram where everything is. I like to have fun on there, but hey, it's all encouraging stuff. But that's Tracy Webster 11 also. That's my Instagram page at Tracy Webster 11 on Instagram, and Twitter is Twebster 11. So feel free to hit me, to inbox me, ask me questions, whatever you might have to ask me. I'm here, and I would love to connect. But Coach Martin also, man, Zoe, Rilla, I call him Rilla, y'all. It's a reason why I call him Rilla. But some people think it's for good Rilla. I think I call it Rilla because he's a real guy, and I really can say that he's a real guy. And you talk about learning things from me. I learned a lot from you and continue to do so. And I look forward to even learning even more from you. So I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and welcome again, and we enjoy your time. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to It All Counts, the podcast where we continue to learn and grow together. Thank you, and have a great day.